Right. I'm going to talk briefly about the tone of Dispossessed and how it's sort of the tone of comedy, the tone of narrative, and that kind of thing. And kind of the best way to describe it is sort of kind of tongue in cheek, I guess. Kind of like the way that we've approached a great deal of the piece is to kind of we're aware of kind of the downsides of filming improv in that it's gonna be quite even at the best of times it's gonna be quite incoherent and things like that. When you script a piece, you've got the luxury of specific plot points and stuff like that. Like for example, the letter scene in this. If the piece was scripted, there'd be a much greater deal of gravity to how that's all like the level of panic on what's going. Like we're gonna get kicked out in 24 hours. Oh God, we've got to do something about this. But with improv, you can't really control that quite as much. You can tell the actors to get panicky about it, but something's kind of lost that you don't have. Like I think maybe probably something to do with the shots. Like you'd have a close up in on Mark's face, and he'd be all like, "Ooh, 24 hours," and that would be obviously a real panic for the characters, not cast or crew, and that kind of thing. So. What we've done to sort of alleviate that is instead of trying desperately to kind of hide it and sort of like cover this stuff up, what we've done instead is we've gone, right, these are going to be the issues, let's specifically make reference to those and make an actual point out of this is how the these are the downsides with filming improv, and as opposed to because I think what's quite interesting about it, sorry I'm just rendering, what's interesting about I think Dispossessed as a piece is that we kind of we're not overly concerned about immersion. You get with TV shows quite often. TV and film, generally speaking, it's considered in terms of fiction. It's considered it's considered escapism essentially. So it's kind of you want to watch something that takes you out of your own life and stuff like that. But we really want the viewer to feel directly involved as to what's going on with the piece and stuff like that. So that's why we've kind of it's come through quite specifically in post and stuff like that, and I think it's clear through the use of where we've got titles for every scene and stuff like that. We explain directly, right, this is what you want, this is what we want you to get from this scene as a viewer, and kind of making the viewer a part of what we wanted, what we wanted to achieve. So scene one, as I mentioned earlier on, it's scene one, introduce the characters and draw in the viewer. I think it's something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing, and that it comes off as quite funny actually. In fact, because what it does is it immediately snaps the viewer out of being kind of drawn into the piece, and they know directly, okay, right, so this is what they're trying to achieve with this scene, and it's kind of playing on that concept of meta that I sort of touch on briefly in regards to sort of being very self-referential and that kind of thing, because as a generation that's grown up with so much kind of pop culture ingrained in sort of our brains and stuff, like with TV, everything like that is all very it's very much a part of our sort of collective consciousness, I guess. It's quite interesting. What we're trying to achieve is to let the viewer in on kind of the magic of script writing, I guess, and kind of just tell them look, this is what we're trying to do, whether or not we've achieved it or not. Kind of that's a different case entirely, and we can sort of say it almost makes it, if something doesn't go quite right for one viewer and they don't think that, oh, we've achieved this particular thing in the scene, it almost becomes funny, because the fact that we've referenced and gone it's kind of cheeky, we're sort of covering our own asses in a way, but in a way that by saying it straight to their face, to the viewer's face, it works kind of interestingly. And in terms of tone, I think it really sets the piece apart from sort of other stuff out there and things like that, because of this sort of very self-referential, sort of bizarre, twisted, non-immersive way of dealing with narrative. But yeah, okay, thank you. I'll probably it'll be the edit post after this, so thanks.